Believe that you have a position in Pinduoduo. I don't know whether you've bought Alibaba, but the frenzy there is getting reflected with Chinese ADRs too. We've just come across a survey from Bank of America stating that 90% of fund managers are saying this year is going to be China's year.
Well, it's so interesting that you would bring that up because China's also in a situation where there are some big changes that are happening and have to happen in that country. And of course, in terms of just where they are in the geopolitical space, there's still unknowns. In terms of the trade relationships with the United States, there are still unknowns. But yet they obviously are very, very committed to the development of that country. So I think, once again, there could be an influence in terms of what happens globally. But as the ultimate space towards heading into more anti-globalist, that's where China can actually really shine versus, let's say, a country like the United States that's been so globally dependent. So, yeah, I think that you have to pick your spots carefully. Baba, interestingly enough, with Cohen buying millions of shares, has done nothing but go down. So he's not exactly the Midas touch. But that doesn't reflect what could happen. But I would be very patient here, even with the Chinese ETFs and companies.
But Michele, I've got to ask you, is this for the long term or is this for some short-term trading activity betting on the upside? Because I would imagine you've got to be concerned because you see, I suppose, the reports this morning suggesting that China, or it's going to be a state-owned enterprise, they're going to be taking over the ride-sharing industry. They've obviously taken out those golden shares when it does come to some of those major tech companies. Shouldn't it be worrying people that there's the prospect that you could see similar circumstances occurring with them, if in effect, taking over these corporations might not be today, but it could be tomorrow, if that makes sense?
Well, we've certainly seen history, right, with Alibaba and Jack Ma. There's been back and forth. So it's kind of, I'd say, hard to predict exactly what's going to happen. But just from a logical standpoint, one would have to assume that President Xi has also had a tremendous amount of lessons to learn over the course of the few years, one being with tech, of course, one being also with just the whole real estate area, and the other with COVID and what can happen there. So if cool heads prevail and he's going to be more state-run, and he's going to yet also try to continue the meritocracy that goes on in that country, it's possible that they can emerge as a winner in all of this. But once again, I would certainly be very, very aware of what happens just all around with Russia, Ukraine, and India, and BRICS. I mean, there's so many factors right now. It's actually kind of mind-blowing.